Alright you guys, this video is about finding products in the United States of America. It can be a good way to differentiate, and it's really hard. A lot of people don't know how to do it, so I've done it. I found suppliers in the United States, so I hope that you guys enjoy it, and we're gonna go and enjoy these elephants right now. I forgot to mention that this is a part of the free Amazon course that is coming out, and it's almost done. So that course is full of nuggets, and it's going to be close to 200 videos. So this is one of them, and I hope that you guys enjoy this video and sign up down there. Click the link below, and you will not regret it. And I hope you enjoy the video. All right, in this video, we're going to cover sourcing from America, which is something I've actually done for a large majority of my products. And people always ask me questions about this, so I thought I would share my experience with it. So one thing that happens when you're sourcing from China, you need to be very diligent about certifications, which we talk about in a different section. Okay, so when you're going to source from America over China, you're going to get way faster lead times. And I just love that because your money's able to grow exponentially a lot faster because you could take even a lower ROI on your product. There's like these products like bubble wrap or stuff like that, where it doesn't weigh anything, and you could have these fast lead times, and there's essentially no cost, but shipping that via air doesn't make sense from China. But even sea shipping, that's a long lead time, and there's a lot of products that could be sourced in America, actually the cheapest, the best, and the fastest. So yeah, you're gonna get faster lead times. You're going to get a less of a liability risk because you still got to do your due diligence, and you're responsible for your product at the end of the day. But you know that if your manufacturer lied to you about a certification, like happened to me with the solar eclipse glasses, all the ones in China were lying to me. If somebody in the U.S. does that, well, there's a lawsuit. So that you don't have to worry about that. They're speaking English, and it's faster. They're on the same time zone as you, so you don't end up with these wonky schedules. You can get a sample in 2 days for really cheap. You could go visit them. There's a lot of things that I like about it, and you're supporting people from the United States. So I really like that aspect of it, but there are some downfalls. So the downfall is going to be price most of the time. But like I said, there are certain products where dimensionally it does make sense to source from the USA, actually, and you can only source and be competitive from the USA. And the other, I'd say this is one of the bigger ones. So price combined with, they don't specialize as much here. So in China, every factory owner, so if you ask them to do any type of customization, they always say, okay, yeah, we can do that, because it's literally this ecosystem of manufacturing. So they may not be able to add in a special add-on that you want, but they know a guy who knows a guy. They all deal with people on a daily basis who are manufacturing something. So just that supply chain that exists there doesn't exist in the United States. And so specifically, now think about Foxconn. Foxconn's the company that makes the Apple stuff, the iPhones. And I went to, what is it, Shenzhen, and I forget the name of the market, but it's crazy. It's an 8-story mall, I believe, and it's just full of electronic components. You can do anything there. It's so cool. But that just doesn't exist in the US here. So there's that specialization, and the cheap labor results in higher prices if you're going to get it from here, and you're going to have to get a higher MOQ. And typically the factory owners are a lot older here. They're not as willing to take on that smaller order or do that customization. They're kind of more so in the game of finding, some bigger companies and getting out deals like that. So that's going to be something that you have to take into account. Or even assembly and packaging costs 3 times as much here, at least, because of labor costs and everything. And then there's a lot different employment laws here too, so there's a lot higher liability. So there's ups and downs about sourcing from the USA, but it can be awesome. And I really like it for when you would, I guess this would be my use case scenario where I would source from the USA, is when I'm learning right away. And so let's see, do I have them right here? I do have them. I got my 80/20 wristbands. And so I sourced these from the USA, and I got them super fast, maybe a week and a half. And they're from the USA. But here's the thing, okay? So you see they're like this. If I got these from China, they would have packaged it for super, super cheap, okay? But
In the USA, not so much. They're not going to do custom logos. You get your own design on them, but there's a lot more that they won't do, and that's just kind of custom in China. Or I also did the coffee mugs here in the US. I used a company called Discount Mugs, so that they had really good pricing and whatnot, and the fast lead time. So I use them in like the use case is just you want to learn, okay? You've got an idea, and it's all about getting it to market fast and validating your learning. And that's what I really prioritize sourcing from the USA, and everything is just that feedback loop in my head of learning lessons. And then once you get something that scales and is proven to work, you could go to China, or you could continue in the USA. So yeah, that's what I got to say about that. And then, yeah, like I was saying earlier, types of products that are good for the USA, bubble wrap, something really large and light. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how we would go and find a supplier from the USA. All right, so this is how you find a US supplier. And so there are search directories, but they're not quite like Alibaba, okay? So there's ThomasNet, there's Makers Row, these other ones that I found from some websites. But to be completely honest, I've just not been impressed with the user interface, the amount of communication and information. I don't know, something is just, I honestly don't know how these manufacturers, they must just be living off of big clients or old people just talking to each other, because I've never found what I wanted when I've looked several times to find a supplier on these. But that doesn't mean it couldn't work or it wouldn't get better, but I just have not had luck. So I'll leave those links. You guys can go check them out for yourself. But what I use is search engines, because that's where I found my suppliers every time. Now, you're going to have to be a little bit savvy. Sometimes you can just get a home run and right away you just use the search engine and boom, there's all the information that you need. Great. You're good to go. So, but other times you're going to need to get more tricky, especially if it's a popular keyword. So you really got to think about what is unique to a manufacturer. So these companies, like we've already said, they're not on these directories or anything, so it's going to be really hard to find them. This is a good trick to use for anything where you're trying to find something that where they didn't optimize for search engines. You're going to want to use just words that they would have on their website, because the Google Spiderbot goes and it'll take all those words. Now, if you can have all those terms that would only be on a manufacturer's website, it's going to help. So let's go to Google, and let's say we're going to look up for lampshade manufacturer, because that could be something that I would test here in the US, just because of how large they are. They're not too complex to manufacture. So we've got right here, we have the NCAIS code. So that's what you need to put when you're importing them to the United States. And by using that code, obviously that's going to be listed on their website potentially. Or what you can also do is just use the word manufacturer, contact us, because they're always going to, barely what I found, they never give you pricing. You always have to contact them, because I think they get higher conversions that way. That would make more sense. So you're not just window shopping. And pricing, because obviously they say contact us for pricing. And then lead time. So lead time, your typical retail customer doesn't use the word lead time. It would say shipping and whatnot. So by really making, forcing it to have lead time in there, you're going to get it. So what you're going to want to do is learn how to use advanced Google search commands. And this will really help you out with a lot of things in your life, actually. So you can use so if we did love me tender right there, we could force it. It has to have those words in that exact phrase. What I would do then is, we're going to skip NCIS codes right now, because, I would show you how I would do it. So I would look up NCAIS code. There we go. Or NAICS, sorry about that, for lampshade. So I had done that earlier. Now, let's see. Lampshade manufacturing artisan SINC codes. So that looks like a code website. These all look like code directories, because this is the problem where, so this is a large, I took an entire course on search engines. I don't know if I've mentioned that yet, because I'm kind of disorganized making this course in certain parts. It's really valuable. So this is a very valuable keyword that is going to be ranking for. So all these coding websites are ranking for this code because they probably have some service where they make money and whatnot. So if you just do this code in the lampshade, you're not going to get what you want. What you could do is play around with different ways of using the exact search, and that's really going to help you find different results. So I did this with made in the USA as the exact in the parentheses there, and then now so like I'm able to show up this one. So made in the USA lampshades. You can pull up this website, which was not coming up before, and it looks like they're a wholesaler of different made in the USA lampshades. So then what you could do here is reverse engineer and find out the manufacturers of these lampshades and then go talk to them and see, okay, is that just a private label brand from another manufacturer? Or you could go back and that might just be another manufacturer. And so you could go and then find them that way. So you're going to have to get a little bit more tricky overall, just because a lot of these companies, they're just not listing themselves on Google. That's just not the way they work. So I want to share one last way that I did not put in the original PowerPoint here. So I'm going to just pull it up quick, and that's going to be contacting certification bodies. So I had actually done this with the solar eclipse. I contacted some certification bodies for the glasses, and they were able to tell me, okay, here are some approved companies that we've done tests for. They wouldn't tell us all of the information and whatnot though. But the people who are doing this testing, so let's say these lampshades needed a certain certification, you could call that certification body, find the tester, and he's obviously done a bunch of testing on lampshades. So that's going to be a great resource, and he's going to know way more than you do. So I had actually done this with the Eclipse, and I contacted about a certain certification and that I needed to get, and that's why I was able to sell, and a lot of people weren't. And so I was actually able to then notify them of ones that were infringing improperly on the certification. So that guy was knowledgeable, and that was probably one of the best things I ever did for the whole business, was literally getting on the phone and calling a certification body. And those guys are just geniuses, and they don't charge to just talk on the phone because it's consultation. Like it's not their business. They're not trying to maximize their time. It's just like, hey, whatever. If the test, here's the testing rules, here's the testing price. So you could, I don't suggest you take advantage, but if you were very efficient with their time, I'm sure they would love to. If you had very pinpoint questions, they would love to answer and direct you in the right way. So get on the phone and just start searching around, and you can find some good USA-based manufacturers. And from my experience, they're very pleasant to deal with, and I wish you the best of luck if you find one.